Well, good morning. Welcome to our training on the OST survey. If you don't know who I am, my name is Amanda Bear, a program evaluator at JWB. Our training topics, we're going to discuss briefly why we do the survey, how to prepare, and then all of the details around administering the survey. We'll finish up with how to wrap up after surveys are completed, and then we will have a question time at the end. So we do the survey once a year for our out-of-school time programs. This is some of our community out-of-school time programs, our neighborhood family centers, and some of our mentoring programs as well. The survey helps us to understand how your program is making a difference. And although we know that not just this one survey will tell us all of what's going on in the program, we do use it to gauge participant satisfaction from their time in the program. The questions are grouped into categories and they cover these 6 areas listed on this slide. So from program engagement to academics to healthy choices. And then we do our evaluation team does report out on the results of this survey every year. And so it is important for us to understand that the results are accurate. And then we do have this program satisfaction listed as a performance measure in your program's contract. And then we also hope that your program can use the data yourself as well to help make informed decisions, to help improve your program, discuss the results with your program staff. So we do this survey, like I said, once a year, every April. And April 1st is the first day of the survey that it will be available for participants to take it. And this is next Tuesday. The survey is done at your program site with a list of eligible participants. That list does come from our evaluation team, and we upload it to SharePoint for you guys to print it out for your sites to use it. The survey at the beginning asks 3 demographic questions. So it asks grade, gender, and then it also asks the grade that the participants started when they first began attending your program. And it goes into 8 survey questions, and those survey questions break down into further questions. And then we will get into more of the survey overview. So the first page of the survey will ask a yes or no question. It'll ask the participants to assent to take the survey, and that means that they agree to answer the survey questions. And if they choose yes or no at this first page to complete the survey, we do want that to be completely their choice, whether they want to complete the survey or not. If they select yes, it'll then take them to the survey questions. If they select no, then it'll take them to a page where they will still have to hit a submit button. You want to make sure that they still hit that submit at the end and still count that response from them. Again, agreeing to take the survey should be completely voluntary on the participants' end. What we don't want to see is them either like rewarded or punished for not taking it or taking it. It should just be completely voluntary and their choice. So only one answer can be picked per line. They do have to select something, even if the answer is do not want to answer. If they miss something, okay. I just got a quick notification that someone joined. Welcome. We'll ask for some questions at the end too, if you guys have any questions. If they miss something, the system does remind them to answer. And then just a reminder that they have to hit the submit button at the end for their response to be counted. So as you guys are the program providers, you all are the ones that are responsible for administering the survey to your eligible participants. We do help guide in this process. Beforehand, you will receive these things listed here in email to help you out. First is the Survey Administration Handbook, and this just is a complete overview of the survey administration process and pretty much what we're going over in this training today. We also provide a link to the survey and a QR code. Just to note that it does come from a website called Key Survey, so keep that in mind. That's where the survey website goes to. You'll receive a PDF copy of the survey, and this is for reference only. So if you print that, just make sure it's just for reference to the survey questions. You don't want to have your survey or your participants take the survey by pen and paper. It will only be online, but you will have a copy of the survey. A list of your eligible participants that will be given to you guys via SharePoint. And we plan to have those ready for you guys on SharePoint by the end of this week, so that you guys will have them prior to April 1st, which is next week. And then we will also give you a link to a YouTube video. We created this last year, and it's just a short, fun YouTube video that you can play for your participants before they take the survey. It just kind of explains a little bit of like why we do it and why we're asking them to do this. This is a photo of what the QR code will look like. There is two, so there's one specific for our NFCs, our neighborhood family centers, and then there's one specific to our out of school time programs. And then we ask that you only use the QR code during your program hours. So don't text the code or email the code out to participants to have them take it that way, because we want to avoid the option or the potential scenario where a parent or caregiver could take the survey on behalf of a participant when they're not in the program. So just make sure that participants are only taking the survey while they're attending your program. And then the eligibility lists that I've been talking about, it will look like this when it's uploaded on SharePoint. And there's a spot for your participants to sign, and then they will also need to date it whenever they completed the survey. And you'll see these on SharePoint. We recommend, so given that, you will have to have somebody in your program who has access to SharePoint to be able to grab this list and print it out. And then for those who are on that list to take the survey, they must be enrolled in your program prior to the month of January. And this is just to make sure that they have the experiences in the program enough to feel comfortable to answer the questions. And they must be ages 8 and older, and they must also be attending your program during the month of April. If there is somebody on the list that is no longer attending, so they may be closed out of the program, but you haven't, like, we haven't received that update on our end before we make the eligibility criteria list, we ask that you just use a single line to cross their name out. And then we ask that you print the eligibility participant list. We recommend that you store it in a binder or have it with a clipboard and a pen. A copy should be printed for each site. And we also recommend that you set up your computers or whatever device you are having the participants take the survey on, whether that be an iPad or laptop, whatever. And then it's helpful to also bookmark the link on each device, so it's an easy access to get to the survey. And then just make a plan for how to spread out surveys throughout the month. That's mostly important for our bigger sites or programs that have a lot of participants, but we want to make sure that you're checking in every week to make sure that you're progressing and getting all of your participants to take it. And then have our participants watch our YouTube video. And then I will hand it over to Joanne Delernia.
Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joanne Delernia. I'm the Associate Manager of Performance and Evaluation here at JWB. I've been here for 8 years and have been administering this survey for the last 8 years. So I've definitely seen my fair share of things that have gone really well and my fair share of things that have been more of a challenge. So I'm going to go through our administration and then I'm happy to answer any questions at the end. So the administration period for the survey, as Amanda said, is April 1st through April 30th. The link that we send to you for that survey will only work through that time period. If it's before April 1st or after April 30th, that link is not going to work and it's going to give you an error. So make sure that you're using this link and capturing these surveys during this administration period. As Amanda has said multiple times at this point, the survey must be completed electronically on your program devices. So we should not be using personal devices for this survey. We shouldn't be using paper and pen. We must collect the information through the survey link. And then also your program participants should be the one accessing that link and entering directly into their survey. So you don't want to collect their information on paper and then fill it in yourself. Like that's not an appropriate administration either. And then only the participants on that eligibility list should be asked to take the survey. Oftentimes each year we see programs write in participants' names that they think are eligible or meet the eligibility criteria as the ones that are taking the survey. However, we go through a very rigorous process internally to make sure that the people that we're pulling from our warehouse are meeting our criteria. And we make sure that we go based off of the information that we have in our system. So you should not be filling in extra names. Only the people on that list should be taking the survey. If you have a question or you have a participant who is not found on that list, but you think should be eligible, contact your assigned evaluator and talk through this process with them. Next slide, please. Okay, so as we go through the survey, administrators or yourselves really should pull up the survey link before inviting a participant to take the survey. So as Amanda recommended, you will bookmark that link within a browser. Before the participant comes to the computer, just have that link open for them. The survey will take approximately 10 to 15 minutes to complete per child. So as you're planning and kind of figuring out what your setup is going to be for administering the survey over the course of the month, kind of estimate about that amount of time per child to be taking the survey. And the survey should only be taken once per participant. This is why we have you have your participants sign that eligibility list and date it. So that way we know that they have already taken it and you can move on to the next person. We have seen in instances where that survey and eligibility list was not filled out. So we had programs who had significantly more people take the survey than were actually eligible. And we are not able to determine out of those responses who are duplicated or who took it and shouldn't have taken it or things like that. So really utilize that eligibility list to ensure that participants are only taking it once. And then participants should also take the survey independently. It's written for a reading level of 3rd grade and higher, which is where the 8th grade or 8 years old comes in. Excuse me, not grade. And we want them to really feel the ability to offer up their honest opinions. Sometimes if program staff are there or helping them respond, that may influence what their response is, because they may not want to say that they don't like participating in the program or they're struggling in this way. So we want to make sure that their responses are as honest as possible. So doing the survey independently will help ensure that. Next slide, please. Okay. All participants, whether they are assenting or not assenting, should click submit at the end of the survey. So that very first survey page is going to ask them, do you want to participate in the survey? Yes or no. If they say no, it will take them directly to the end of the survey. It'll say, thank you, you are all done. But if they do not click that submit button, we don't get that response, and that person will not be counted as a survey respondent. So all submissions, regardless of whether they say that they want to participate or don't want to participate, have to click that submit button. After clicking submit, that's when the participants should sign and date the eligibility list to capture that they have fully taken the survey at this point. And then after all of the administration period, after all of your participants have signed off on that eligibility list, we ask for you to scan that list and submit it to JWB by the 15th of May. And that's just going to be your final confirmation that the participants who were supposed to take the survey did take the survey. Next slide. So what happens if a participant is trying to take the survey and they're not sure about anything, really? So how do you help your participants? So if a participant has a question, you can use that reference copy that we provide within our initial email to help work them through that question. Make sure that they understand it. If they have trouble reading the question, read the question aloud to them and give the participant time then to respond to that question. The OST survey book or survey handbook that we're going to also send you has some scripts that you can use to help you prompt participants if they're really not understanding a question, or help them understand better what the information that we're looking for. What we don't want to do is lead them to an answer. So we just have to be a little careful with how we're instructing them or explaining what a question means to not lead them to a response. So once we finish the survey results will be shared with you in June or July, but these are not going to be the analyzed results. It would be the raw scores that are going to be shared with you. When we're looking at your performance measures, we're looking at the percent of respondents who are indicating that they're satisfied in most domains on that survey. So that takes a little bit longer of an analysis to do. So that's not what would be shared with you. What you would see is like a breakdown of each question and how many people responded positively or negatively to those questions. All right, at this point, I will open it up for any questions that you may have about the administration, about the survey itself, eligibility lists, the documents that we're going to be sending you, really anything that you may have that could help administer this survey.
Good morning, Good morning, Joanne. Good morning, Amanda. Thank you guys for this information. Just had a question regarding the video. When it comes to, let's say, we're calling a youth up to take the OST survey independently. Would you advise, say, first watching the video and then while having the survey set up?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. We have heard of programs last year that like watched the video as a group, as a kickoff to the survey, and then had people go to their like computer labs and then like take it. It really is going to work, whatever works best for you and your program. You can have the participants watch the video first and then immediately jump into the survey. You can watch it as a group. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Also,
Any
like, I'll
other-
just jump in and say it's like a good way to kind of teach them, like, especially like the younger kids, like about evaluation, like what we do with survey responses. It's kind of a good like little learning tool as well. Any other questions? All right. I don't see any. So I just want to say thank you for joining us today. And if you do have any questions that arise, feel free to email us. You'll see an email come from us about the survey, so you can always respond back to that email. And you should see your those lists of eligible participants in SharePoint by the end of the week. So thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
Thank
Thanks.
you.